Pearl Harbor. The day Japan shocked the world. On the quiet, calm Sunday morning of December 7th, 1941, the American naval base at Pearl Harbor lay in stillness. Battleships slept at their moorings, aircraft stood tightly arranged on airfields, and thousands of servicemen enjoyed what they thought would be an ordinary day of rest. In less than 2 hours, this calm would turn into one of the most devastating attacks in American history. An assault that would kill over 2,400 Americans, destroy battleships and aircraft, and shock the world. The attack on Pearl Harbor would transform the United States from a neutral nation into a full combatant in the Second World War, igniting a global chain of events that reshaped the 20th century. But Pearl Harbor was not just a single moment of surprise. It was the final step in a long build-up of tensions between Japan and the United States, a conflict of resources, ambition, empire, and ideology. This is the full, comprehensive, chronological story of Pearl Harbor. The road to war, the Japanese battle plan, the intelligence warnings America missed, the minute-by-minute timeline of the attack, and the consequences that changed world history forever. Japan's rise to power, Japan's imperial ambitions during the early 20th century. Japan transformed from a feudal island nation into a major industrial and military power. Victories in the Russo-Japanese War, expansion into Korea, and economic growth propelled Japan into a position of rising influence. But Japan lacked essential natural resources: oil, rubber, steel, aluminum, food imports. To sustain its modern industry and expanding population, Japan believed it needed an empire, particularly in China and Southeast Asia. The war in China-Japan invaded China in 1937, launching the Second Sino-Japanese War. Japanese forces captured Beijing, Shanghai, Nanjing coastal provinces. The brutality of Japanese operations, including the Nanjing massacre, shocked the world. America strongly opposed Japanese expansion and increased political pressure on Tokyo. U.S. warnings and economic pressure as Japanese armies advanced. The U.S. condemned Japanese aggression, supported China with aid, reduced exports of strategic materials. By 1940, Japan and the U.S. were on a collision course, economically, diplomatically, and ideologically. Tripartite Pact. In September 1940, Japan signed the Tripartite Pact with Germany and Italy, joining the Axis alliance. This deepened American suspicion and brought Japan closer to war with the Western democracies. The oil embargo, the turning point. In July 1941, Japan occupied French Indochina. The United States responded with its strongest move yet, freezing Japanese assets, banning sales of oil and petroleum. Japan imported 80 to 90% of its oil from the United States. Without oil, the Navy would be grounded, aircraft would remain on runways, industry would collapse. Japan's entire empire would fall apart. Japan now faced two options. Option 1, withdraw from China, lose face, lose empire, total humiliation. Option 2, seize the oil fields of Southeast Asia, but neutralize America first. Japan chose war, planning the attack Admiral Yamamoto's vision. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, commander of Japan's combined fleet, opposed war with the U.S. He knew America's industrial power was overwhelming. But if war was unavoidable, he insisted, "Our only hope is to strike a crippling blow at the beginning." Yamamoto believed the only way to gain 6 months of free reign in the Pacific was to destroy the U.S. Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor. Why Pearl Harbor? Pearl Harbor housed 8 battleships, cruisers, destroyers, torpedoes, and fuel stores, major air bases. Destroying them would give Japan time to seize the Philippines, Malaya, Singapore, the Dutch East Indies, the Kido Butai Strike Force. Japan assembled the largest carrier strike group in the world. 6 aircraft carriers, 423 aircraft battleships, cruisers, destroyers, submarines, midget submarines. This elite task force was known as the Kido Butai, the Secret Journey. On November 26, 1941, the fleet departed from Hitokapa Bay in total radio silence, sailing across the stormy North Pacific. The route kept them far from shipping lanes, invisible to U.S. intelligence. America misreads the signs, American intelligence success and failure. The U.S. had partially cracked Japan's diplomatic codes, known as magic. Washington knew Japan was planning something, but didn't know what. Crucially, American intelligence had not broken Japan's naval codes. The Kido Butai remained invisible. Japan used radio silence effectively misplaced assumptions. American strategists believed the most likely targets were the Philippines, Thailand, British Malaya, Singapore, Hong Kong. Pearl Harbor was considered too far away, too well defended, and too risky for Japan to strike. Overlooked warnings, several warnings went unheeded. A Japanese submarine was sighted outside Pearl Harbor just before the attack. Radar operators detected incoming aircraft at 7 a.m., but mistook them for American B-17 US. Army intelligence saw rising Japanese espionage activity in Hawaii. Diplomatic signals showed Japan preparing for a break in relations. Despite these signs, no large-scale alert was issued. The first wave at 6 a.m., Japanese carriers launched the first wave. 183 aircraft. Composition: 49 high-altitude bombers, 51 dive bombers, 40 torpedo planes, 43 fighters. 7:48 a.m., the first bombs fall. The first wave struck Battleship Row and surrounding airfields. Battleship Row, USS Oklahoma, hit by multiple torpedoes. Capsized USS West Virginia, engulfed in explosions. USS California flooded. USS Nevada attempted to escape the harbor under fire. USS Arizona suffered a massive magazine explosion. The Arizona's explosion alone killed 1,177 men, nearly half the total deaths of the attack. 5.2 airfield destruction. Japanese fighters strafed parked aircraft at Hickam Field Wheeler, Field Ford Island, Iwa Marine Corps Station. Planes were lined wing to prevent sabotage, a decision that now made them easy targets. Within minutes, dozens were burning wrecks. 5.3 heroic resistance. Despite chaos, American servicemen fought back. Anti-aircraft guns opened fire. Pilots raced to get airborne. Sailors manned machine guns from burning ships. Several American fighters managed to take off and engaged Japanese aircraft. The second wave. At 8:54 a.m., Japan launched the second wave, 167 aircraft. Objectives: sink any surviving ships, destroy aircraft attack shipyard facilities. 6.1 intense anti-aircraft fire. By now, U.S. anti-aircraft defenses were fully active. Japanese planes faced coordinated AA fire defensive fighters returning to base, burning smoke reducing visibility. Even so, the second wave inflicted severe damage. 6.2 damage to ships. USS Nevada was heavily damaged and beached to avoid sinking. USS Pennsylvania took bomb hits. USS Helena and several destroyers were struck. Repair facilities were damaged but not destroyed. 6.3. End of the attack. By 10 a.m., the attack was over. Total duration, 90 minutes. The Japanese lost 29 aircraft, 5 midget submarines, 64 men. American losses were far greater. Human cost and damage: 7.1 casualties, American, 2,403 killed, 1,178 wounded Japanese, 64 killed, 7.2 naval losses, battleships sunk or damaged. Arizona, lost. Oklahoma, lost. West Virginia, California, Nevada, Tennessee, Maryland, Pennsylvania. Almost every battleship was knocked out, but crucially, all except Arizona and Oklahoma were eventually raised and repaired. 7.3 aircraft losses, 188 American aircraft destroyed, 159 damaged. These represented a major temporary setback. What Japan missed, Japan achieved surprise but missed several critical targets. 8.1 aircraft carriers were absent. The U.S. Pacific Fleet's 3 key aircraft carriers were not in port: USS Enterprise, USS Lexington, USS Saratoga. These carriers would later win decisive battles. 8.2 fuel storage tanks untouched. Japan did not attack. Fuel depots, shipyard, dry docks, submarine base. This allowed the U.S. to recover far faster than Japan planned. 8.3 submarine force intact. American submarines went on to sink. Over 50% of Japanese merchant shipping, a third of Japan's navy. The United States enters World War II on December 8th. President Franklin Roosevelt delivered his famous speech. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. Congress declared war on Japan. 3 days later, Germany and Italy declared war on the United States. America was now fully engaged in World War II on 2 fronts: against Japan in the Pacific, against Germany and Italy in Europe. Strategic consequences: Japan's temporary advantage. Yamamoto's strategy gained Japan 6 months of unmatched success. Hong Kong fell, Singapore fell, Philippines fell, Dutch East Indies fell, Malaya, Guam, and Wake Island fell. Japan seemed unstoppable. The turning of the tide. The American industrial machine awakened. Massive shipbuilding, aircraft production, military mobilization, training, millions of soldiers. Japan's 6th month of dominance ended at the Battle of Midway in June 1942, when American carriers sank 4 Japanese carriers, a blow Japan never recovered from. Pearl Harbor's legacy. Pearl Harbor changed global history. It brought the United States into World War II. It reshaped the Pacific. Of American military power. It turned the war into a global conflict. It united the American public like never before. The wreck of the USS Arizona, still lying at the bottom of the harbor with its fallen crew, stands as a solemn memorial to the lives lost. Pearl Harbor was not just a surprise attack. It was the moment that transformed the world.